Hey everyone, welcome back. This is Maddie. In this video, we'll be learning about iterating statements in Java. We have two types of iterating statements. One is for loop and the other one is while loop. First, we'll look into for loop and then we'll move on to while loop. First of all, what is for loop? A for loop is used when you want to repeat a block of code for a specific number of times. For an instance, let's take you set up an alarm exactly at 4 o'clock in the evening and you set it to repeat for every day, right? And that's again a for loop. How? The alarm gets triggered whenever the condition is met, meaning whenever it's 4 o'clock in the evening, the alarm gets triggered every day. And it's again a iterating task. That's the real world example of for loop. The for loop is perfect whenever you want to print all the elements in an array, or whenever you want to print specific patterns, or whenever you want to repeat a specific task for a specific number of times. Basically, for loop is used wherever there is a iterations in the logic. Now let us see the syntax of for loop. We use a keyword for, and then it takes initialization part in the parameters, then condition, at last update. Inside for loop, we have a code that needs to be repeated. Now, what are these initialization, condition, updates? Let us see them one by one. Initialization runs only once at a start. Usually, we create a variable to keep track of the iterations. That's about initialization. And what about condition? Condition, this is the decision making statement of a for loop where the loop runs as long as the condition is true. Whenever this condition becomes false, the code that needs to be repeated will not be executed. That's about condition. Now, what is this update? Update runs after each iteration. Usually, we increment or decrement the variable that we initialized. Let us see that with an example. Just have a main function here. Let me write a for loop to print numbers from 1 to 5. I use for keyword, and in the initialization part I take a variable I starting from 1, and I run the iterations until I is less than or equal to 5, and then I increment I for each iteration. Here I need to repeat this block of code for I times. That's the reason I'm including it inside a for loop. Let me run this program. Yep, it's printing numbers from 1 to 5. Now let us try to debug it. I'll just place the debug pointer here, start the debugger. Okay, we are initializing a variable and 1 is less than 5. It will go inside for loop. Yes, in the console if we see, it's printing 1. If I run again, it will print 2, again 3, again 4, then 5. Now I is incremented to 6, and this condition is not true, so it won't print number 6. It exits out of loop. Yes, it's exiting out of loop. Yes, it has ended the program. Okay, that's an example of for loop. Just now we have seen the flow of for loop where first the initialization happens and then the condition is checked. If this is true, then it executes the code inside the body. After executing a block of code inside the for loop, it will execute the update statement, and after updating a statement, it will again check the condition. If this is true, it will execute the body inside for loop. and this process repeats until this condition becomes false. That's the flow of for loop. We have few types of for loops. And the first one is normal for loop. We have seen it just now. There is the normal for loop. And the second one is decrementing for loop. As the name itself suggests, it's the loop where the update statement will be decrementing. Let us see that. I'll just print the numbers in the reverse order. Print numbers from 5 to 1 for in the initialization part, and here I'll start the loop from maximum value, that's 5, and repeat the condition until I is greater than or equal to 1. After each iteration, decrement I by 1. Inside for loop, print I. I'll just comment this out. Now if I run the program, it will print 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yes, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's about decrementing for loop. We also have nested for loop. In our previous video, we have seen nested if statements, right? In the same way, we can also have nested for loop. A for loop inside another for loop. And this type of nested for loop is mainly used whenever you want to print patterns or whenever you want to play around with 2D arrays. Let us see one example of it. Comment this out. Let me try to print a pair of numbers from 1 to 3. We start outer for loop I from 1. We loop until I is lesser than or equal to 3. Increment after each iteration. I'll declare one more for loop inside outer for loop. I'll start this for loop from 1 again. Loop until it is equal to 3. Lesser than or equal to 3. Increment after each iteration. Then inside nested for loop, I'll just print a pair of numbers. Let us try to execute this program and see what will be the output. By the way, pause the video and think of the output of this nested for loop and come back. Hope you know the result. Let me run it. Yes, 1 1 1 2 1 3 2 1 2 2 2 3 3 1 3 2 3 3. Let us debug it just to see how it is printing 1 each time and then with the different numbers. Start debugger. Okay, we are starting I from 1 and j from 1, and if you see the console, it will be 1 1, and this j loop repeats until it is equal to lesser than or equal to 3. Okay, j is now 2, now j is 3. Now j gets incremented to 4, but we have a condition where j is less than or equal to 3. That's again false. Now it will end the inner for loop. Yes, it's again switched to the outer for loop. Now I will be 2. This j loop runs until 3. Yes, again 3 times. Yes, it's done. That's how it's printing all the combinations from 1 to 3. Let us see the next type of for loop. You may be thinking, is there a way to run this loop infinite times? Yes, there is a way, but we should be very much careful whenever we want to use infinite for loop. Fourth type is infinite For loop. Let's see how can we make a for loop to run infinite times. For here, in case of infinite for loop, we won't be mentioning anything inside a for loop parameters, meaning there is no condition, there is no update statement, there is no initialization. Let me print runs forever. If I run this, it's getting executed again and again. I manually killed it. Be careful whenever you want to use infinite for loop. Usually we don't use it. The fifth point is, you may be thinking of, is there a way to declare two variables here? Yes, there is a way. That's the fifth type. Multiple variables in for loop. Let us say that for loop int I equals 1, and we separate a variables by comma, j from 5, loop until I is less than or equal to 5, I plus plus. Print the pair of numbers. I missed to decrement j here. Let me run this program now. 1524334251. If you observe, for each iteration, I is getting incremented 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and j is getting decremented 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's about multiple variables in a for loop. And the last one is not a type of for loop, it's the enhanced for loop. It is also called as for each loop. And we use this enhanced for loop or for each loop whenever we are playing around with arrays, collections. And we will say this enhanced for loop in our next video. We have one important topic in for loop, where for loop with break and continue. What does that mean? Whenever a program encounters a break statement, it will completely exit the loop, meaning it will completely kill the iteration, whereas continue will keep the current iteration. For loop with break and continue. Let us see this with an example. Let us see the break statement first. I want to print the numbers from 1 to 5, and I want to break the iteration whenever I is 3. Let us say that initialize a for loop starting from 1, loop until 5, increment after each iteration. And if I equals 3, we need to break the loop completely and print out other numbers. Yes, let us see the output of it. It will print numbers 1, 2, and in the third iteration, it will break the loop completely. Yes, it's printing 1 and 2, and in the third iteration, it is breaking the loop completely. Just put a debug pointer and see how it's going. Now let us see the continue statement, where I'll just take the same example where I'll be skipping the third iteration. I won't be stopping the loop completely. Instead, I'll just skip the third iteration. Let us see how we can make that. Start I from 1, loop until 5, update after each iteration. Just take the same condition. If I equals 3, continue, print the other numbers. Let me comment out this. Yes, I'll run this program. It will print 1245. Yes, it's printing 1245. Just put a debugger here, then just try to see how the program flow is going. That's all about for loop, where we have studied a normal for loop, then decrementing for loop, then nested for loop, where we use whenever we want to print patterns or whenever we are playing around with 2D arrays. Then infinite for loop, we usually don't use infinite for loops in any of our program. Then declaring a multiple variables inside the for loop. Then these are break and continue statement. We just saw them now. Yes, that's pretty much about for loop. The second iterating statement is while loop. First of all, what is while loop? A while loop repeats a block of code as long as the given condition is true. It is same as for loop. It runs until the condition is true. But while loop is used whenever we don't know how many iterations are there in a program, or how many iterations we use for a specific scenario. For an instance, let's take you want to read the user input until they manually give a stop command. That's real world case. Let us see the syntax of while loop. While loop syntax. We use a keyword while, then condition, then a code that needs to be repeated. In while loop, we won't be having initialization part and update part. We need to maintain them outside a while loop. And this while loop executes until this condition is true. Let us see one example. Let me comment this entire for loop code. While loop. Let's take you want to print even numbers from 1 to 20. How can we do that? Same as for loop, we initialize a variable outside while loop. While I is less than or equal to 20, just print I and increment I by 2 after each iteration. It's the same as for loop, where we are initializing a variable, checking condition, updating a variable after each iteration. If I run this program, it will print 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, all the even numbers from 1 to 20. Let me run it. 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 until 20. Flow of while loop is, first it will check the condition. If it is true, then it will execute a body of while loop. After execution, it will check the condition again. If it is true, it will again execute a body of while loop, and this iteration continues until this condition becomes false. That's the flow of while loop. If this condition is always true, right, it will be considered as infinite loop. Let us take another example where we want to read the input from the user until they manually type exit. Let us try to do that. We have already seen a scanner class, what is scanner, how we can take an input from the user, all those things. We have already made a video. System.in string, a variable to store the command from the user. I'll declare it empty. While the command is not equal to exit, let me take ignore case. If the command is not exit, Then we'll take an input from user until they manually type a command exit. Take input and store it in command variable. Since this is string, we'll be taking next line to capture the entire statement. Let us run this program now. It's asking me to enter something. I'll just enter my name Maddie. It's again asking me to enter something. I'll just enter Java, iterations, and it will keep asking until I manually type exit command. I'll just type exit. It got exited from the program. That's the use of while loop. Whenever we don't know how many number of times a iteration logic should be executed, at the time we'll be using a while loop. Here in while loop, same as nested if statement, nested for loops, we can also have nested while loop. Try that out on your own, and after doing a program, try to debug it. It will flow same as for loop. You may be having a question, can we use a break and continue in while loop? It's again yes, we can use break and continue here as well in while loop. Let us see how does it looks like. Just comment out this. Let me give it as example. Break and continue. Same as for loop, we initialize a variable while I is less than or equal to 5. Print the numbers. Increment after each iteration. But whenever I is equal to 3, we should break the complete while loop flow. Let us see what it will print. It will print 0, 1, 2, and then as soon as I becomes 3, it will break the loop. Ta-da! 0, 1, 2. Yes, that's about break statement. Let us see the continue statement. Again, we initialize a variable from 0. My bad. While I is lesser than or equal to 5, if I equals 3, we'll just skip it. Before skipping, we should increment a variable here. If not, it will go for infinite loop again. If I is not equal to 3, print that number, increment I by 1. Yes, let me run this program. It is skipping a third iteration and printing all other numbers. Just try to debug all these programs, break, continue. You will easily understand how the flow of program is going through. That's all about for loop and while loop. In our next video, we'll be seeing functions, more about arrays, strings, and after completing a Java basic playlist, we'll be starting with algorithms and then patterns. That's it for this video. Thank you all for watching. See you in the next one.